That's the book of Luke. Matthew, Mark, Luke, the 5th chapter. 3 verses for your hearing this morning. Verse number 4 through 7. When you have it, we ask you to stand for the reverence of God's word. Reading from the New Living Translation version, the word of the Lord reads on this wise. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Now go out where it is deeper and let your nets to catch some fish." "Master," Simon replied, "we have worked or toiled all night long and did not catch a thing. But if you say so, I'll let the net down again." And this time their nets were so full of fish they began to tear. A shout for help brought their partners in on other boats, and soon both boats were filled with fish and on the verge of sinking. Our thematic thrust of a text will come from this here verse at verse 5, where it says, "Master," Simon replied, "we worked hard all night." Tell your neighbor, I've been working all night. Worked hard all night and didn't catch a thing. But if you say so, I'll let down my net again. You may be seated in the presence of God. We have toiled all night and didn't catch anything. But at your word, we'll let down our nets again. For the time that is allotted to me, I would like to tag this text from risk to reward. From risk to reward. My brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, one night in a service that we was in from New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, he was telling a story one night of him and his father. He said, "I have learned a lot of things from my father. My father was a great man of faith. I've learned how to be a strong man. I've learned how to work for what I want. I've learned how to go out and get everything that is mine. I've learned how to treat women through my father." He said, "But one thing that I did not learn from my father is the risk-taking skills." He said, "My father was very afraid of taking a risk." He said 2 times to be exact that my father could have put our family in a better financial situation, but because of the risk-taking factor and him being afraid to take a risk, he didn't take the opportunity. He said in 1984, Bob Johnson, the CEO, the CFO of BET, Black Entertainment Television, was getting ready to start the network BET, and he asked my father if he would partner with me, and my father told him, "No, I can't take the risk." He said, "I have a family of 4, me, my wife, and my 2 children, and it would be kind of crazy to invest in black television network when black people really don't have TVs in this era." He said, "I can't take that risk because the potential is not great, because if you had TV, then you wouldn't have had the BET network. It was only in a few homes, so I couldn't take the risk." And Jamal Bryant said, "Now look at my father. He could have been sitting back wealthy off of BET because that's what everybody watched, but he was afraid of the risk." He said the second time, my father is now the Bishop of Texas, and a guy lived 2 doors down from us. Come knock on our door, and he said, "Bishop Bryant." Say, "You're a very prestigious man. You're the Bishop of the state of Texas." He said, "But I have a dilemma." He said, "I'm up for elevation in my company, but I don't have any minority, meaning black people, that sit on the board." So Bishop Bryant said, "I have a child, 2 children, and a wife. I can't take the risk. He said, man, only thing that you would have to do is make a small investment in Southwest Airlines and we'll take care of the rest. He said, no. I can't take the risk because they don't dress properly on Southwest Airlines at the time. He said the flight attendants, they don't have the same matching outfits. You don't know where you're going to sit at from time to time. He said, I can't take a risk, and your attendance right now for people taking your flights is very few in number. He said, I can't take the risk of spending my money on an investment that I won't receive a return on. And Dr. Jamal Bryan said, now look at Southwest Airlines. Everybody flies Southwest. And you may ask the question this morning, why in the world did he just take us through somebody else's story? I took you through somebody else's story because all of us this morning has a similar story where we would have been further in life by now if we had took the risk, but because of fear of the risk, we didn't take the risk. Is there anybody that can holler at your boy and say, brother preacher, I should have been further along by now, I should have been living better by now, but I was afraid of the risk. Dr. Jamal Bryan's dad, he took the money that he was going to invest in BET and bought a new Mercedes-Benz. Took the money that he was going to invest in Southwest Airlines and bought another Mercedes-Benz. And Jamal Bryan said now to this day, he asked his dad, he said, you know, we could have been getting chauffeured around for the rest of our lives. And I fly so much, I could have flown for free. But because you want to go buy material things that will self-gratify you right now, you miss your opportunity. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that we got to stop looking at the right now and look for the future. Yeah, right now it don't seem like it's going to work. Right now it don't seem like I'm going to make it. But if I can just take a glance into the future, by and by, I know it will pay off. I dare you nudge your neighbor for the first time and say, neighbor, it's time to take a risk. Don't be afraid. Take the risk. Because the Bible is clear when it tells us in James 2:26 that faith without works is dead. Jamal said, my dad had a lot of faith, but he didn't have the works to back up the faith. And can I tell you that you can have all the faith that you want this morning, that God is going to do this and he's going to do that. But God has given all of us common sense and 24 hours in a day to put our faith to work and say, God, if I take a step, then I'm trusting you to take the next step. But we have allowed fear to compromise, stagnate us, and make us complacent with where we are. Can I say that again? We have allowed fear to compromise us, put us in a place of stagnation and complacency that we don't want to do anything because of the fear of failure. Many of us are afraid that we're going to fail at this, and we're worried about what people are going to say and think about if we fail in our efforts. Can I tell you this morning, can I give you a nugget? Stop worrying about what people think and worry about what God thinks about you. Dr. Charles Goodman was saying, I repeat and I quote, he said, fear, if you break it down letter by letter, stands for false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. And we as Christians have started to let the false evidence of what something looks like stop us from going with what we know we can get. We have allowed the falsities of life to compromise us and make us stop because it looks like it's not going to work. But can I tell you this morning, stop looking at how it's going to work and look to who can make it work. The one that said, I'm the author and the finisher of your faith. I got to move. I'm getting happy. And that's where we find ourselves in the confines of a text this morning that Simon Peter, if you go to Bible study, Sunday school, you'll find out that Simon's name will no longer be Simon after he follows Jesus. He's going to change it to Peter. But Simon, at the time, has to take a risk. Simon finds himself in a predicament where Jesus is teaching, and then he tells me to launch out into the deep. Now, if you look at this account here, you can find this account in all the other four Gospels, but Luke is the only one that gives us an in-depth study of what happened before Jesus makes them disciples. Because if you look at the text in Mark, Matthew, and John, only thing that you see is that Jesus appears and he tells them to become fishermen of men, meaning to become disciples. But if you look at the text here this morning, Luke gives us an overall view of what is happening in the text. Luke says that Jesus, if you go to chapter 4, you will see that Jesus just healed Simon's mother-in-law. So some scholars would say that this is not Jesus' first encounter with Simon, Andrew, James, and John. But here in chapter 5 says that Jesus now comes to the city. And the people are pressing on him. Keep your Bibles open. We're going to walk through the text together. And the people are pressing on him in verse number 1. And Jesus sees a boat in his rearview mirror. Jesus said he thinks to himself that if I get on the boat, for one, these people will stop pressing on me. It's kind of hard to do what you got to do when you have people pressing on you on every side. Now, can I look at it from these people's point of view? They knew that the Messiah was coming through, and they did whatever they had to do to get in the presence of God. Can I ask the question and raise the rhetorical question this morning? What in the world has happened to us as Christians? Back in the day, we would be the first ones in the church, but now you can beat us getting the church. Back in the day, you couldn't beat us here because we realized that we needed something from God, and we wasn't going to let nothing or nobody stand in our way. But now we pop up when we want to. And at this day and time that we live in the 21st century, you'll hear most people say, well, I don't have to go to church. I can watch church on TV. But my Bible says, forsake not yourselves the assembly of the righteous. We got to get back to the point where we are expecting God to do something in our lives, and we're not going to let nothing or nobody compromise or hinder us from getting to the house of God, because my grandma would say it this way: one word from the Lord can change any situation. Is there any witnesses and warriors that can testify this morning that one word from God can change any situation? Here it is. Here it is. Jesus sees the boat, and he tells Simon, let me get in your boat. Because these people need a word, and if I pull a little bit offshore, my voice will echo more. Now, in my theological thinking, I think that there was something else meaningful that Jesus was trying to say when he got on the boat. What do you mean, Washington? I'm so glad that you asked. I believe in my theological thinking that Jesus was trying to set a great example to the disciples that were watching him, that I don't care where you are and when you're there, use what you have at your disposal. Jesus didn't have the synagogue to preach behind the pulpit and have a microphone, but he had a boat to get the good news out. And I believe that Jesus was telling the disciples that you're going to find yourselves in some sticky situations, but you still got to tell that Christ came, Christ died, and he's coming back again. Can I tell you, people of God, that all of us have been given the charge to make disciples, and you don't have to stand behind here. Jesus is by the sea preaching the good news, We're in Tyson, Purdue, Subway, McDonald's, and it's our job to preach the good news. Can I tell you that Jesus is telling them that I don't care where you are in life, just use what you have, because when I use what I have and I give it over to God, he'll take my little and make it become much. Is there any witnesses that can say when I give God what little I have, he takes my little and expand it? Jesus, now here he is. He's here talking to the crowd. But after he talks to the crowd, Simon and Jesus are in the boat together. If you look at the text, he tells Simon, now I need you to do something. I need you to launch out farther than where you are. Oh, wait a minute, brother Jesus. This is my boat for one. You are a guest in my boat, and you're going to tell me to go out farther? Now, in those times, fishermen wouldn't go but so far, and you're telling me to go past what I'm used to and go out farther, and then better yet, you're telling me these nets that I just washed, that I got to cast them back out? Can I tell you this morning, Jesus don't care what he has to do and when he has to do it to make you do something. He don't care if you feel like it or not. When God has given you the charge to do something, I don't care when it is and where you are. You just have to do what God says do. Now, there are 3 practical principles of our text this morning that teaches us how to move from risk to reward. Do y'all want them? Do y'all want them? Here it is. The first thing that we see in our text is that you have to release personal fears. Y'all know me by now. I'm a Bible preacher. Here it is. The text in verse number 4, it says, Jesus tells Simon, after he finished speaking to the crowd, to launch out, in the King James Version, into the deep. Go further than what you're used to, and let down your net. And Simon comes back and says, but master, we have toiled all night long, but we didn't catch anything. But here is where you release your personal fears. He said, but at your word, we'll go back out again. Can I tell you this morning, every now and again, God will put you in some situations to let you know that you got to release your personal fears and look to the promise and one that can handle any situation. I know you may be scared and I know you may be afraid, but you have to tell the devil that God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. Now let's look at the text. Jesus is at Lake Gennesaret, which is connected to the Sea of Galilee. When you do your studying on this, you will see that the Sea of Galilee was approximately 13 miles long, 7.5 miles wide, and 700 feet below sea level. Which, to compare it to us, it would be like we were going to Chigatig Island and the water that they have right there that connects to the Atlantic Ocean. And Simon is like, Brother Jesus, we ain't never been out this far before. You want me to go past what I'm used to. You want me to go past where I'm comfortable at and do something that I've never done before. And can I tell you this, God that we serve, if you're going to want to receive anything from God, every now and again, you got to do what you never done to receive something that you ain't never had before. You can't expect to get more if you're not willing to give up more. What do you mean, brother preacher? I can't expect for God to overshadow my life and bless me if I'm not willing to sacrifice my time that I spend on Facebook and social media and watching the TV and give some of that time to God and say, God, it's me, oh Lord, and I'm standing in the need of prayer, and I need you to do something for me. So on the surface of the text, it looks like Jesus is telling Simon and them to launch out into the deep to catch fish. But if you go to verse number 11, you will see that the overall purpose of this story here in our text today is to make these disciples not just fishermen anymore, but fishermen of men. So what Jesus is doing when he tells Simon to launch out into the deep, what he's really doing is he's saying, Simon, I'm getting ready to prepare you, because where I'm getting ready to carry you, you have to launch out further than you've been before, because there's some people that you can't reach in this church, and you're going to have to go to where they are, and you're going to have to launch out further than where you ever been before. You get so comfortable going to the synagogue and to the church house to receive a word and to give a word, but what I'm doing in this season of your life, you're going to have to move further. And that causes us to have to release our personal fears, because fear will stop us from going places that God has told us to go. I told this story one time in Bible study when I was teaching here. There was this pastor that was the bishop of the organization of the United Methodist Church. They send us emails all the time. He was the bishop, and he started to go to the bar while they were drinkers was at and where the clubbers was at. And he would sit at the bar every day and buy beers and hand them out. People started to get upset about that because why in the world is the bishop in the bar where people are drinking, smoking, and clubbing, and then on top of that, he's sitting at the bar with them and buying beer and passing it to them? Can I tell you that this bishop had to release his personal fears, because he knew that there was going to be some backlash, but he also realized that God has just not called me to the church house, but he has called me to go ye therefore into all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. So this bishop said they called a board meeting, and they wanted to get rid of the bishop. The bishop said, give me one chance to explain myself, because I've removed personal fears and how people feel about me. I'm not worried about what you think or say about me, but I want to show you something. So he calls a board meeting, and you got your old deacons and deaconess sitting on the front row. And he said, if y'all think that I'm wrong for going to the bar and buying alcohol and handing it out, raise your hand. Older folks of the church up front raised their hand. He said, now give me 1 second. He said, everybody that has been saved by me coming to this bar and haven't been back to that bar since you've been saved, raise your hand. The whole back of the church stood up and said, Brother Bishop, you saved my life and you changed my life. So one of the deaconess was sitting on the front row, and she looked back and she said, that's my son that I've been trying to get to come to church all his life, and he wouldn't come. And the bishop said, every now and again, you got to move outside of yourself to do what God has called you to do. I dare you take 10 seconds, open up your mouth, and thank God for releasing my personal fears. I'm moving. Not only do I release my personal fears, but I also have to release my past failures. Look at what the text says again. It says, Jesus tells Simon, Brother Simon, launch out into the deep. Brother Simon tells Jesus, Brother Master, Brother Teacher, we have toiled all night long. We have worked all night long and didn't catch anything, but at your word we'll let back down our nest. Let me rewind that thing for you so you can see the failure and releasing of the past failure. He said, Brother Jesus, we have toiled all night long and didn't catch anything. That means that we was out here all night away from our family, doing what we know how to do, but we didn't catch anything. We failed last night on our attempt of trying to bring in something for my family to eat, and I failed at it. But at your word, I let back down my net. So Simon realized that I had some past failures, but I release them when I get into the presence of God, because I realize that he has power over every situation. Here it is. Let me paint the picture for you so you can understand where we are. Brother Simon is an expert fisherman. This is his trade. This is his livelihood. Jesus is a carpenter. I'm running back by you real quick. Y'all looking at me. Brother Simon is an expert fisherman. This is how he feeds his family. This is how he makes money to make sure that his children are okay. And this is how he makes sure that his wife is okay. You may say, how you know that Simon got a wife? Go back to chapter 4. You will see that Jesus is at Simon's mother-in-law's house, and he heals her. So Brother Simon's trying to take care of his wife and his kids. This is what I've been doing all of my life. In those days, you would start working at a very young age, and now Brother Simon got to be about 25, 26. So I've been doing this with my father and grandfather all my life. But the only thing you do is bang nails, lay carpet, put pieces of wood together. You don't know anything about this ocean. So Simon, in his mind, he has to release his past failures, because in his theological and his basic thinking, he would say, this is not the right time of day to catch fish. Where are my people that ever been fishing before? You know that if you ever been fishing before, either you go late at night or you go at the crack of dawn in the morning. Why is that? My granddad always used to carry us, and I would ask him, man, why we have to go so late at night when we supposed to be asleep? He said, because son, what you have to realize is fish have good common sense. Let me paint the picture for you. Fish come out at night and the first thing in the morning, and they hide the rest of the day so that their predators cannot eat them. So fish come out at night when their predators are asleep, and they do everything that they have to do. So Simon knew that it ain't no fish out, Brother Jesus. There ain't no fish out here for us to catch because it's too late in the day. Can I tell you that Jesus doesn't care what time of the day it is. He has all power and preeminence over everything because he said, I have authority over the fish of the sea. So what Jesus is doing is he's showing his power and his provision to make what we think can't happen happen for us when we release what was holding us back. Many of us, if we be honest with ourselves, we have some past failures. Now, I ain't talking to you superficial Christians this morning. I'm talking to you Christians that ain't afraid to say, you know, I used to do my dirt, and every now and again, if you catch me on the right day at the wrong time, you may catch a glimpse of the old me, and you may get told something that you don't want to hear. But I got some past failures, but I'm not going to allow what I used to be in to hold me back from where I'm getting ready to go in this next season of my life. Simon realizes that in order for us to get anything, I can't be stingy with my hands closed. I have to be willing to release everything that is holding me back in order to get something for God. And you wonder sometimes why you come to church and you don't get anything out of the service. It's because you got so many pressures of life weighing on you, and you're not willing to come in the sanctuary and say, you know what, I don't care who's looking at me this morning. I don't care what you say about me, call me crazy. But when I get in the presence of God, I have to release the past off of me. My question to you this morning is, what past failures are you still holding on to? What past disappointments are you still holding on to? What past mishaps is handling and holding you back from receiving what God is trying to do in your life? You may say, well, brother preacher, I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to receive anything from God because I messed up real bad. But the Apostle Paul would put it this way, that if any man be in Christ. I wish I had any Bible readers. He is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things become new. But he went a little further and he said, forgetting those things which are behind me, and I press forward towards the mark of the high calling. Is there anybody that can say, I'm getting ready to release what's been holding me back, and I'm going to press forward to what God has for me, because what God has for me, it is for me. God is saying, in order for you to get what I'm getting ready to give you, you can't be, one, afraid, and you can't let your failures hold you back. Because if you allow fear and failure to hold you back, guess what? They are the opponents and the enemies of faith. Fear and failure will make you lose faith. Fear and failure will put you to a point where you can't have faith, because it's like, I don't deserve what God is trying to do for me, because I failed so many times, and I'm worried about what people are going to say and think about me if I try again. But look at what the text says. Brother Simon says, but at your word, we'll let down our nets. What? Again. Can I tell you this morning that God is getting ready to put you into a try again moment in your life, where he's giving you the opportunity to try again. He's giving you another chance to try again. Yeah, you failed before, but try again. Yeah, it didn't work out before, but try again. Yeah, the relationship didn't work, but try again. Is there anybody that can thank God that I'm in my try again moments, that God don't just bless me once and twice, but he blesses me over and over and over and over again? I dare you open up your mouth and thank God. I've held you too long, and I'm out your way now. First thing that we see in our text, you have to release personal fears. Those things that you battle with in your mind. Those things that are holding you back. Not only that, you have to release past failures and try again. All of us, because we woke up this morning, we had another opportunity to try again. The fact that I was able to dress myself this morning, I got another opportunity to try again. The fact that I'm in the sanctuary this morning, when I could have still been at home in bed with my head covered up with the blanket over top of my head, because I failed before, but the fact that I came and said, you know what, I'm going to try this thing again. God has given you a try again in your life. And when you try again, guess what? Lean in real closely and we out of here. When you release your past failures and your personal fears, you'll receive the product of your faith. What do you mean, brother preacher? After I release my personal fears, those things that I'm battling with internally, my past failures, then I'm able to see the product of my faith. Where is that at in the text? Look at what the text says. They said that when Simon lets down his net, some versions will say immediately the fish got in the net. Some verses will say as soon before he could even get the net into the water, the fish was hovering around the boat because he caught so many fish. It says that he had and he received the product of his faith because his faith allowed him to know that if I try again, God is not going to leave me out here by myself. So if I can just have the faith the size of a mustard seed, then I'm expecting God to do something. Is there anybody that can say, I got a little bit of faith? I may not have a lot, but what little bit I do have, God can work it with. Can I tell you also that when you move from risk to reward, it's not only going to bless you when you receive the product of your faith. It's going to bless those that are connected to you. Can I show it to you in the text? It says that Simon and brother Jesus, as I told you, they were on the boat together. Matthew's gospel would say Andrew had the other boat. But look at what our text says this morning. It says Simon let down his net. And he had so many fish in his net that he had to call for his friends that was washing off their nets. He had to call for them to come out to where he was to help him. But because of his faith, he didn't just get blessed, but those that were connected with him received the blessing. Can I tell you this morning, God is just not getting ready to bless you, but he's getting ready to bless those that are around you. Because David said, I once was young, but now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. God, I feel you in this place. When I step out and launch out in the deep, I not just receive something myself, but the people that's connected to me is going to receive something. Some of us should thank God because we're getting stuff that we don't deserve, but because of our mama and grandmama and God making a promise to them and they've received the product of their faith, now we're receiving the product of our grandparents' faith. Because while I yet was a sinner, Christ died for us. But somebody else would say, somebody prayed for me. They had me on their mind, took the time and prayed for me. I'm so glad they prayed. In those prayers, I knew my grandma was praying. In those prayers, I knew that my mama was praying. In those prayers, I knew that my auntie and uncle was praying because I'm getting things that I don't deserve, but because of them not being afraid to take the risk, I'm a product of a risk taker faith. Is there anybody that can say I'm a product of a risk taker? I should have been dead a long time ago, but I thank God for my risk takers in my family. I dare you open your mouth and give them praise. Yeah, but not only was Simon a risk taker, not only was the people that were with him risk takers, but it's Black History Month. Can I call the roll on some risk takers? Martin Luther King was a risk taker. Rosa Parks, was a risk taker. Marcus Garvey was a risk taker. Nate Turner was a risk taker. Barack Obama was a risk taker. Your mama and your grandmama were risk takers. Your pastor was a risk taker. But can I tell you this morning that there's somebody else that was a greater risk taker than all of them? Can I tell you about somebody that was the greatest risk taker of them all? They said he was Mary's baby. He was born in Bethlehem, baptized in the Jordan River. Somebody will call him a waymaker. Somebody will call him the El Shaddai. Somebody will call him the Rose of Sharon. Somebody will call him the Lily of the Valley. Somebody will call him the bright and morning star. But can I tell you this morning, he took a great risk when he came down into 42 generations, and he came to a world and took on the sins of the world. He didn't have to do it, but I don't know about you, but I'm so glad he took a risk on me. He took an opportunity on me. Where did he take that opportunity? One Friday morning, they marched him up a hill called Calvary. Guess what they did to him? He took a risk when they let him hang him high and stretch him wide. Put a crown of thorns on his head. Put nails in his hands. Spikes in his feet. But he didn't stop there. He took a greater risk because he died. Didn't he die? I said he died. Didn't he die? But he took another risk when he went down into hell, snatched the keys from Satan. But aren't you so glad? I said, aren't you so glad that his risk turned into a reward? How did it turn into a reward? Because early, I said early Sunday morning, he got up, put one foot on the grave, and said, I got all power in my hands. And aren't you glad this morning that you've learned from the greatest risk taker that if I take a step in faith, God will, I said God will, he will make everything all right. The product of my faith, it allows me to say I've had some good days and I've had some hills to climb, but all of my good days, they outweigh my bad days, and I won't complain. Is there anybody, is there anybody that can get happy glad that you know that trouble don't last always? I might be afraid right now, but by and by, God will. Won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he bless your life? Say yes. Yes. Say yes. Stand all over the sanctuary. Oh, I've seen the lightning flashing, and I've heard the thunder roll. God, I feel good. I felt sin breakers dashing, trying to make me fear and make my failures hold me down. But guess what this morning? A word from heaven said, fight on, press on. Is there anybody that can say, I'm pressing this morning? We're gone. Held you too long.